everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you Yarnie update number 19. Yarnie updates are my usually monthly wrap-ups of things that I have been knitting on during the month. I did take a bit of a break. I didn't film one in November. I filmed Vlogmas in December, and then because I was filming so much, I just needed a break from filming in January, so I am here at the end of January. It's probably February by the time you see this, telling you what I have been stitching over the last 3 months. If you watched any part of my Vlogmas, you know what I was stitching on in December, but if you haven't, I will wrap that up in this video for you today. So I've got some works in progress, I've got some finished objects to share, and I have a yarn acquisition, and I'll do some chit chat at the end. So let's get started. So what am I currently stitching? These are my works in progress. First up, I have my Christmas tree socks. These are just an improvised sock design. These Christmas trees that you see here, probably not coming up really well. I do have a new camera. We'll talk about that a little later. But these Christmas trees were in the Bakery Bears Knitability publication. It's actually a little bit of a revised design by adding the stump. Knitability is a publication that the Bakery Bears do for their patrons, and there's like articles and things, and every once in a while Kay will put in either a pattern or a stitch pattern or something like that. This is actually the Christmas tree that she uses in her Blizzard Socks pattern, which was a platinum pattern, I believe, a couple years ago. And so she just added the stump, and she thought that the patrons might like to have the chart to use for projects of their own. I decided to go ahead and use it for a sock kind of like accent down the side. So this will be a sock that has a matching pair that has the Christmas trees on the opposite side. So this is the left sock. I did a 64 stitch sock. I did 2x2 rib for 15 rows, and then I did however many rows it took to get the 2 Christmas trees. I did an Eye of Partridge heel, which, I don't know. I really like the look of Eye of Partridge. However, my Eye of Partridge heel doesn't ever come out looking great. I don't know what it is. Everybody else's Eye of Partridge looks so much more, there's like so much more texture in it. And for me, when I do Eye of Partridge, sometimes you can't even tell where the slip stitches are. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. If you have any tips on how to do an Eye of Partridge heel better, definitely let me know down in the comments below, because I keep trying and they always come out like this. So yeah, I have partridge heel, and then I just stitched down for my foot, which I usually do about 55 rows. I think this was 56 just because of the trees. And then I did Kay Jones's cottage toe, which is a standard toe, but it's a little bit wider. So I actually finished this sock last night. It is done in Leading Men Fiber Arts Krampus colorway on their Show Stealer base, which is their MCN base. It is my first time using Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn, and I really, really like it. That sock is a little squishy, which I'm enjoying, and it feels a bit thicker. But here's the yarn in the cake. Like I said, it is Krampus, and I just love this color. Back in December, I put up a Christmas yarn stash video where I shared with you all of my Christmas yarns that I had in stash. One of the things that I really want to do in 2021 is to knit more pairs of Christmas socks for myself. So I'm hoping to knit at least one pair a month, obviously because I only have one sock. Right now I am behind, but thankfully socks aren't like sweaters and they won't take as long, but this is going to be my first pair of Christmas socks that I knit for myself in 2021. I am housing this project in my Pineapple Yarns Christmas sock bag. I got this included in my yarn advent calendar that I had ordered from her back in 2018, and I thought it's perfect for all of my Christmas sock projects, so that is what I'm doing for that. How I decided on the Krampus colorway is that my friend Lee over at Lee Mac, I believe is her channel name, she has awesome videos on crochet and she also dabbles in books and movies, so if you're interested in that, definitely go check her out. I'll link her down in the description box below. She had mentioned that she was interested in seeing how Krampus got knit up because one of the questions that I asked was if anyone was interested in any particular skein being knit up first, and she stated she'd like to see Krampus, so that's what I'm doing. And that green is so perfect for that Christmas tree chart, so that is my first work in progress. My next work in progress is living in this bag that my mom had sewn for me over December. This is my Animal Crossing bag, and inside is my Christmas Tide cowl. This is the 2020 patron only pattern for Bakery Bear patrons. This was an Advent knit along. Kay has done Advent knit along. This is the second year that she's done it. The last time it was socks. That was my Yuletide socks, which you may have seen, I think back in July. I finished that up. I'm never good with Advent knit-alongs, but here we are again. I am way behind. This should have been done in December, but this is my Christmas Tide cowl. As you can see, each section has a different stitch pattern on it, and they're all based on Christmas scenes in books. So this bottom portion here is the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Then this Christmas tree pattern, I believe, was, I can't remember right now. But it's this Christmas tree pattern. It might have been a Christmas Carol, but I'm not sure. And then frozen like window panes. One of these is from Winnie the Pooh. I can't remember which one. This one's from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on where you're from. When Harry is getting the invisibility cloak and putting it on for the first time, so that's like a swish design. And then you've got these kind of snowflakey type textures. Obviously, I only did 4 or 5 of the things, and there's like 12. So, yeah, behind on that. I fully was aware that I was going to be behind on this because I can never keep up with knit-alongs. I don't know, there's just something about it where I just like lose steam or something happens, and on this one, I got to a really difficult stitch pattern that needed a lot of concentration, and I like to knit while I'm watching television, and I just couldn't do it with that stitch pattern, so I just never ended up doing that week's or that day's stitching and fell really behind. December is a really crazy month for me as far as work goes. My workload is heaviest in the month of December, and the later we get in December, the heavier the workload gets. So I'm not in retail, but that's just how it is for the industry that I'm in. And so mindless knitting is what I needed in December, and this was okay up until this stitch pattern. You can see that I did add in the next color, but I just never got around to stitching that, so I will need to do that eventually. I don't usually wear cowls, but you never know when you'll have a need for it, and I do really like all of these textured patterns, and of course we could always use the textures for other projects and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this off, but truthfully I have not touched it since December, so I definitely need to get this done, preferably when the weather's still cool, but maybe it'll end up being a Christmas in July finish. We shall see. But that is my Christmas tied cowl. This, I believe, is only available to gold and platinum patrons now, and is not one that's going to be available for purchase. But yeah, I really like how the colors I chose are coming out as well. These are all commercial yarns. Most of these are Cascade Heritage. So with Advent knit-alongs, and when I don't know what things are going to look like, I definitely like to use commercial yarns because you can't beat the price point. And what if I hate what it turns out to be? That is always my worry. So commercial yarns it is. I really enjoy Cascade Heritage, and I had a bunch of it in stash, so that worked out perfect for me. So this is my Christmas tied cowl. Next up, living in another bag that my mom made for me. This is just some scrap farmhouse fabric. This is a sock sack, and this is my experimental sock. And I say experimental because I'm using Regia Perfect Kids color to try to knit an adult pair of socks. So you can see that I have the skein separated already. This is in the color 02983. I'm not sure what the colorway name on that is, but it's supposed to look something like that for a normal kid's sock. Like I said, I am doing an adult size sock because I like to experiment, and some of the kids' colors are super cute, and I don't know why they don't have them for adults, but I ended up with this for my first sock. So I have this. Now, granted, this part here is really long, but this part is going to be inside your shoe, so to me that doesn't really matter, and I am pretty happy with how this turned out. I ended up doing a short row heel, which I haven't done one of those like before. Like, I've done the fish lips kiss heel, but I've only done it once. I decided to watch the Yarnie and Carlos video on short row heels, and I just did it that way. I went exactly by how the instructions say to work perfects on the inside of the ball band. Because this is a kid's perfect, I wanted to make sure that I got, some of the design elements in this. So I cast on a 56 stitch sock on a 2.75 millimeter needle. I normally do 2.25 and 64 stitches, but because 56 stitches was the largest amount of stitches that they were giving instructions for the kids size, I decided to just go with it. Truthfully, I probably could have gone down to 52 or 54 stitches, but this is a wearable sock for me. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I ended up doing Kay Jones's umbrella toe, and yeah, this fits fine. I ended up having a little bit left over, if I can find it. This is how much I had left over of the gray before the yellow started. And if you're familiar with Perfect at all, this yellow yarn indicates the start of the section. So at the beginning of the ball, you pull out all the yellow, and then you start knitting once you reach the color portion. So this is a shorty pair of socks, but for me, they're the normal size of sock that I will knit for myself. My Christmas tree socks are a bit longer than I usually go for, but that's just because of the way the chart fell. But I am very happy with how that turned out. It's good to know that I can use the Regia Perfect Kids in case I find a pattern that I enjoy. I do actually have two other balls of that yarn. One of them is green and the other one is rainbow. I'm going to work the green one for my daughter sometime soon, and then I'm trying to hold the rainbow one for myself, but we'll see how that goes, because of course my daughter showed an interest in that one as well. She does have a smaller circumference foot than me, so this will probably work out even better for her. But I will need to finish this pair of socks too. I'm calling these my Valentine Perfects because they're pink. It's almost Valentine's Day. Don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, but I like to wear pink and red in February just to feel festive, I guess. So that is my second to the last work in progress that I have. My last work in progress is probably my largest one, so let me put this away and I will get that out and share that with you. So this project is living in my Disney Christmas sweater sack that my mom made for me. This is another bag that she made for me during December, and in this is a project that I am working on for her. So this is the Pajama Cardigan by Autumn Acorn. This is a cardigan that is knit flat and then seamed. I don't like to knit things that are knit flat and then seamed. It's not because I don't enjoy purling. Purling is fine for me. I have no issues with it at all. It's the seaming. I am terrible at seaming things. But you're never going to get better at anything unless you practice. And my mom is not a sweater person. She gets hot rather easily and enjoys having a cardigan instead of a sweater. So I am working on this for her. I am working this out of Lion Brand Pound of Love, which is 100% acrylic, in the Oxford Gray colorway. I have no qualms about using acrylic yarns or cheap box store yarns or commercial yarns or yarns that are not wool. I have no issues with that at all. Plus, I do find sometimes that acrylic garments last a lot longer than wool garments. They don't pill as much. At least I find. I have sweaters that I've had for decades that don't pill as much as a sweater I knit for myself 3 years ago. So, yeah, I have no qualms about making my mom a sweater in acrylic. Plus, she can just toss this in the washing machine, toss it in the dryer, and, you know, no fuss, no muss, easy care. So I have the back panel done on this. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see the whole thing, but this is what I have so far. So this is the back panel. I am doing the 2XL size. I almost think this is a little too big. My mom is bigger than me, but not much. But this is the back panel, and it's not even in frame, so I'm not sure. I did swatch. I'm actually down a needle size from what is recommended in the pattern. But this took me 2 months. I think I might have started this late November for her. But there are a lot of stitches, and this panel is extra long, as you can see. If I hold it up to myself, because this is the neck right here, if I hold it up to myself, it goes down to about mid-thigh for me. My mom is just a little bit shorter than me now. She used to be taller than me, but, you know, age is doing its thing, and so she is a little shorter than me right now. And this goes down to mid-thigh for me, so it'll probably be around there for her as well. And yeah, so that is what I've got on this project so far. I did start the front panel, but it's on the floor. Hold on one second. So I believe this is the front left panel, and this is all I have so far. I have the ribbing and then the start of the stockinette. You can see it is rather big. Like if I hold it up to here, I think it's going to be a rather oversized sweater for my mom, but that's okay. We like to wear oversized sweaters. In fact, while I'm there, let me talk about what I'm wearing, because I constantly forget to tell you that. This is my cocoon shrug, my granny cocoon shrug, I think is what I called it. The original pattern is by Maria Baez, and I actually followed a video tutorial on the Yarn Utopia YouTube channel to crochet this together. This, like I said, I don't mind using acrylic yarns. This is Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. I really, really like the feel of this yarn, and I wear this all the time. Especially now when it's a little chilly in the house, this is the perfect thing to just throw on, and so that is what I am wearing today. So that pretty much concludes all of what I am currently stitching. Let's get into no stitches required, or my finished object section. So first up, I'll share with you an item that I no longer have in my possession, and that is because it was a Christmas present for my dad. I will post a picture here so you can see. This year I decided to knit him a pair of socks. I have not knit him many items over the years. In fact, the very first thing I knit him was a sweater. But he lives in Hawaii, and you don't really need knitted garments there. But I thought a pair of socks would work nicely for him. He is retired now, and he wears house shoes. He always has, ever since I was little. Now, this was a gamble. I ended up asking my mom what my dad's shoe size was, and it's a gamble because my parents have been divorced for a very, very long time. They've been divorced since I was a child, basically, and so she told me what she thought his foot size was, or what his foot size was when they were married, so I was gambling on the fact that his feet haven't grown that much. And so I just knit him a pair of 3x1 broken rib socks. These are in the Regia Black is Back colorway with heels and toes in Sokolana Araweta Classic in a gray. And thankfully, I did ship those off to him. They made it to Hawaii before Christmas, and he wore them a couple times already. He's actually sent me a picture of him wearing them. He says they fit perfectly. They look like they fit perfectly, but I had such trouble with these. I do not have blockers that are big enough for men's socks. We don't live with any men. I don't knit for men. The only man I've knit for has been my father, and so I didn't invest in any sock blockers that were for men's sizes. And so when I went to block these socks before giving them to him, because they were a present, I decided that I would block them. I don't always block my socks. And I never block stuff before you see it usually. But I did block these socks. And when I had blocked his socks the first time, one sock blocked out smaller than the other. And I was like, oh, you know, it's a hand knit item. I'm sure it's still going to fit. All of the numbers that I used were the same. 60 rows in the leg, and then a slip stitch heel, and 60, I think it was 60 rows in the foot, and then a cottage toe by Kay Jones. And yeah, for some reason one of the socks blocked out smaller than the other. And so I reblocked them and ended up having to block them one on top of the other so that both socks were relatively the same size. You will see if you look at my Ravelry project page, the picture, or even my blog post, the picture that I used, you can tell the difference on those socks. And I didn't notice it until I took the picture. And of course, I forgot to take another picture before I sent them out after they were blocked the second time, which is why the two socks look different in the picture that I'm using for this project. But in any case, everything worked out fine. He's worn it a couple of times. It fits perfect. So those were my dad's socks. It was the first time that I had used Regia yarn for a project, and so I'm not sure how this will wear. Obviously, I'm working on the Valentine Perfects for myself, so I'll eventually see how it goes. I did notice that while I was knitting it, I was getting a little bit of a friction burn, just because the yarn is so coarse, but I'm thinking that that is why the socks will probably hold up a little better, or at least I'm hoping that's what it will be. So that was the first project I finished. The next project I have are socks that I have knit for my mom. So these are the Santa Wish You Were Here socks. The pattern is Wish You Were Here by the Kitchen Sink Designs. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. And these are a kind of matching pair of socks, or opposite socks. So each side has the lace panel down the opposite side of the sock, and then you wear them as such. So, like I said, these are for my mom. The red yarn is King Cole Party Glitz yarn in Santa. King Cole yarn is in acrylic PBT base. So it's really kind of plump. I've used yarns that were of a same base, but not the King Cole Party Glitz before. I can tell you that the metallic bits in here did sometimes bite. I don't know if that's the right word. You can feel the metallic when you're knitting it. I don't think you'll be able to feel it while you are wearing it, though. Like when I pinch the fabric, I don't feel it. But when I was knitting it and it was passing through my fingers, I could feel the bits of metallic. But in any case, for the heels and toes, I decided to use a Silcolana Arwetta Classic in the charcoal colorway. So I did a slip stitch heel, and again, the cottage toe. This is a wool nylon blend, and I used that because I didn't have any like dark charcoal or black in this type of yarn. I do use this type of yarn a lot, especially for my mom's socks, but they're all self-striping. I don't have any that are solid. And even if you look at this, you can see that there is a striping design in there. But yeah, I am very happy with how these turned out. I did a 64 stitch on a 2.75 millimeter needle. Normally I will do a 60 on a 2.75 millimeter needle from my mom, but there have been some times where there are designs where I really need to have that 64 stitches because of the stitch pattern, and so I decided to try a little bit of a bigger stitch pattern on these socks from my mom to see if that was something that would still fit her, and it does. She says that this fits fine, so now I know that if I want to do a pattern that requires 64 stitches, I can do a 64 stitch sock for her and it'll still fit. So obviously I haven't given these to my mom. These are Christmas socks for her, which is why I didn't get any Christmas socks done for me. Actually, I've got one more pair of Christmas socks to show you, and I will show you those next. So my last finished item are this pair of socks. These are for my daughter. These were also done in Regia Perfect, the adult size ball. These are the Regia Garden Party, I believe. So they're not technically Christmas, but I think they look very Christmassy. I had first seen this yarn on, I believe it was Craft House Magic's channel. She had done a pair in this particular colorway, and you will see that I didn't do it as the ball tells you to. The Regia Perfect yarn has very specific instructions on how to knit your socks so that you get 2 matching pairs of socks. I didn't follow those instructions because that would have made my daughter's leg on the sock super long, and this is about as long as she likes her socks. So I did a little bit of an experiment, and I think it came out pretty good. They look pretty matching to me. I don't know, you let me know. But I did do, again, a eye of partridge, and it's still, in places, you can't really tell where there's a difference in the texture. So, yeah, these are for my daughter, and what I ended up doing, and I explain all of this in the Vlogmas, so if you're interested in more detailed instructions, I share it with you there. But I basically, when I got to the heel part, I rolled the rest of the patterned yarn that was supposed to be for this leg portion into a center pull ball until I got to the heel color, and then I knit my eye of partridge heel. And then when I was ready to pick up stitches, I pulled from the center pull ball and kept going. I think it worked out fine. There's only one difference between these two socks, and you can see it here. You see this little red right there, and there is no red on this sock. So that is pretty much the only difference between these two socks. I mean, there is a little bit of a difference in the size of the rows and such. Like this one is just a little bit thicker, but there's not much of a difference that I can see. And my daughter is happy with these, so that's all that matters. I will tell you though that because I didn't do the German short row heel for this sock, when I did the heel flap, I had very little yarn left when I was done doing the heel flap. So when I was done with the heel flap color, I cut the yarn because I didn't want an extra green stripe in here continuing with the heel. So I cut the yarn and I didn't have much left. So I'm not sure. This is a 56 stitch sock on a 2.25 millimeter. I normally do like 48 stitches for my daughter's socks on a 2.75 millimeter. But again, because this is the first time I was working with Perfect, I didn't want to risk losing this kind of Fair Isle patterning and such. So I cast on the least amount of stitches that it would let me, and yeah, it came out good so far, and I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. So I do have another ball of this yarn for myself, so I'm really looking forward to getting that knit up. I don't know when I'm going to do those though, but they are on my list because I do want to knit 12 pairs of Christmas socks this year. And so that pretty much does it for all of the things that I have worked on in the last 3 months. I did tell you I have a yarn acquisition. So with the Christmas money that I got from my dad, I decided to go ahead and invest in my first sweater's quantity of piece fleece. So I have been looking at piece fleece for a while, and they've been out of stock. I couldn't find a color that I really liked, and they have a lot of these colors that have these multicolored flecks in them. This was the one that I really wanted. This is their Mesa Marble colorway. It's 75% Navajo Rambouillet and domestic fine wool, 25% mohair, 200 yards, and this is their worsted weight yarn. I checked shortly after Christmas and they had restocked, and I was super happy. So I went ahead and bought a sweater's quantity of this color. I'm hoping to turn it into a Starlight sweater. I think that's what it's called, by Tristan over at Dragon Horde Designs. I had actually bought some yarn for that sweater a couple years ago, and I went to go pull it out because I was interested in working up that sweater, but then when I went to go pull the yarn out and actually read the instructions, it said to use a DK yarn with a mohair to get worsted, which I had bought a DK tweed, which I don't think would look great with mohair, at least not in my head. So I decided to go ahead and use the DK yarn for something else. I'm going to make a different sweater with that, and I decided to pick up the sweater's quantity of this piece fleece instead for that sweater. So I am super excited to use this. It feels really soft. I wasn't aware that there was mohair in this. Obviously I didn't look at the website very closely, but just having that extra mohair just makes this an even more exciting yarn to work with. So I will definitely be casting that Starlight sweater on soon. I have to get some of the other stuff off my needles first, but this has definitely been calling to me. So that's pretty much all of the Yarnie stuff I have to share with you. I did say that I was going to fill you in on some chit chat, so if you're only here for the Yarnie stuff, that's all I've got for you this episode, and I hope to see you back next time, which hopefully will only be in about a month's time, but we shall see about that. I'm still trying to figure out if I want to keep my once-a-month upload schedule or not. It depends on how quickly I get through projects. You may or may not know that I also have a book and manga channel, and in the month of March, we do March Mystery Madness. I have been a host of March Mystery Madness for the last 4 years. I was a participant in their first year. This is our 6th year, and during March Mystery Madness, we just want people to read mysteries during the month of March. So it's kind of a month-long reading event. I like to call it a reading event as opposed to a read-a-thon. And so there are prompts and there's going to be events and things like that. So I don't know that I'll have a lot of time to stitch during the month of March, but I don't know. I've been thinking about not limiting myself to uploading Yarnie videos once a month. And I've got some ideas for a couple other things, but we'll just have to see how that plays out. So anyway, I hope to see you back for my next Yarnie update or whatever Yarnie video I have coming up next. But into the chit chat for now. I have a new camera. I did mention that a little earlier. So during Vlogmas, I was actually filming on a really old camera. It was a camera that I had used when I first started podcasting or video casting or doing bookish videos. My book and manga channel was my very first channel, and I decided to upgrade that in March of 2020, I believe. And so I've been using a different camera, but that camera, when I plugged it in to use it a few weeks ago, started smoking. And then I couldn't turn it on afterwards, so it died. I had to get a new one. So this is my new camera. I'm still learning the ins and outs of it. Hopefully everything looks okay. I know that it doesn't have a autofocus or any kind of focus on that, but my other camera didn't either, so I don't think that's an issue. But I'm still working out different things and learning how to use it and all of that. So hopefully this video looks okay and everything is working properly. I can tell you that I did film a video for my book and manga channel last week, and it ended up having no audio. So I'm hoping that's not the case with this one, but I've been having little issues like that with this camera for the last couple weeks. So yeah, I've got a new camera. Hopefully everything's okay. Hopefully I've got the settings down now. I did put up a Make 9 video, so if you're interested in seeing what I'm trying to focus on this year, definitely check that out. I don't think that I had noted my want of making 12 pairs of Christmas socks for myself this year in that video, but I do tell you which projects I want to work on during this year in that video. Almost all of them are things that have been languishing works in progress in their respective project bags. So I definitely want to get those done. Like I said, if you're interested in knowing about that, definitely check out my video. And that's pretty much all that's been going on around here. I'm getting ready for March Mystery Madness. Like I said, there's a lot of prep work that's going into that. I'm still working from home. Nothing's changed too much on that front. I'm not sure when we may be going back into the office, but for now I am enjoying working from home. I've been very fortunate that I have been able to work from home and that having to be cooped up in my house has not affected me as much as it has affected others. And so, yeah, we're doing great. We are safe and healthy right now. My mom does still have to work outside of the house, but so far everything's been okay. Even though there have been a couple of outbreaks there, she is still safe and healthy, and I'm very thankful for that. My daughter is going to school online, and talk is that school will probably be back in person in fall. We shall see about that. But other than that, everything is great with us. I hope everything is great with you. And that will do it for this episode. So let me know what you are working on. Let me know what you finished recently. Let me know if you have a Make 9 for this year. I'd definitely be interested in checking that out. One more thing I need to mention is that I have opened up a Discord I'm very interested in just chatting casually with other makers and other readers and seeing, what people are reading, what people are making. So if you'd like to chat with me, definitely check out my Discord down in the description box below. It's very new. This is the first time I'm advertising it. I'm a nice person, I promise. So come and chat with me if you feel so inclined, and I hope to see you there. That is it for me today. I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.